Hello there and welcome to Chipola College Television. What we have here, we call it a pregame show with our coaches on campus. This is the summertime when we're doing this show. So most people say, well, there's nothing happening. What do you do in the summertime? Let me tell you. Coaches teach more in the off season than they teach during the season, because during the season we got games to play. We don't have time to do too much teaching. But we got a great coach here. He's new at Chipola. Looking forward to winning a bunch. National championships, what I think we're shooting for. Coach Brett Campbell, how you doing, Coach?
Royce, good to see you today.
Good to see you too. I like your socks you're wearing today
Oh,
too. Coach,
okay.
if I'd have known you were going to wear your light color ones, I would have worn mine.
Well, it's summertime.
Well, now, how long have you been at Chipola now on the day we're actually filming
Well, I
this?
guess we're going on maybe right at 3.5 months.
3.5 months?
Yeah, I think so.
Have you had any cultural shocks? Oh, that's right, you're from Valdosta, so.
Well, I'm originally not from Valdosta, but that was my indoctrination to the South. I'm originally from Indiana. And,
I should have known.
Went to Valdosta State, and that's when I became aware of the South. And really enjoyed Valdosta. Love Valdosta State.
It's a great town.
Wonderful town, great community, and this reminds me so much of it. Obviously on a little smaller scale,
Sure.
but great people, super friendly people throughout the community, and really that makes it a nice situation.
All right, in the summertime, there's folks watching the show right now. Obviously, the coaches on the other team want to see what you're going to say, but the parents sitting at home watching this on local television, they do want to. What does a coach do in the summertime?
Well, we stay pretty busy, to be honest with you. Of course, you're never done with recruiting. It's kind of the lifeblood of your program. So you continue to recruit. In fact, actually last night I was in Montgomery, Alabama at an all-star game for upcoming seniors for next year, seeing the top players in the state of Alabama, which, is right up the road for us. So you're always on a continued basis of recruiting. That's a daily chore, making contacts with high school coaches and AAU coaches. We're fortunate right now to have several of our players on campus, the second session of summer school. So that's been convenient. Not only does it allow them to kind of get used to Chipola college life, but also for us to get used to each other. We're able to spend so many hours a week in the gym with some individual workouts and training and some team situations. So that's been very beneficial for us to already get in the gym and do some work.
Well,
from
when
that
you bring a
standpoint.
recruit in, and you've already got some players here, he decides very quickly whether he thinks he can play, or he says, wait a minute, these guys are good. I believe we can win.
Well, that's true, and I think the other part of that also is they get to know the makeup of our guys, and that's one of the things I'm really excited about, the group of guys we have, the character of the young men we have on this year's team. And I think as a parent myself, I certainly want my son or daughter in the best environment that they possibly can be in. And so if I can look a parent in the eye and tell them, hey, your son or daughter is going to be in a good environment, not only with the coaching staff, but with the players alongside of them, I think that means a lot, and it goes a long way.
A few years back, I'll make this quickly, we had repair work over in the dining hall. So I got the phone call from the athletic department saying, can you and your wife take boys out to eat Sunday night? There was nothing for them on campus. Yeah, so we show up at 6 o'clock, and here comes 4 boys. I take that back, men. They were big. And they said, well, we don't know who's supposed to pick us up. And I said, well, we don't know who we're supposed to pick up. Who wants to go? And they all 4 said, we want to go. So we squeezed into my SUV, 4 big boys, and they were so respectful. And my wife then said, where do y'all want to eat? One of them said, they're having all the chicken you can eat for $10 out at Sonny's. Do you want to go there? Let me tell you. But holding the door for my wife, respectful, yes or no, sir, that kind of stuff, it stuck with me a long time. And that's the kind of players we really need.
Well, I think a lot of the people in the community and the fans, they realize, okay, there's somebody different than just number 5 or number 13. They've got a name. They're a person, and once you make that connection, just as you did that afternoon, it's amazing what that brings to the table. And you see number 5 as a different, hey, that's Mehdi, or that's Junior. I know those guys now, and that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to having our guys in the community, whether they're meeting, boosters or just fans in general, or young elementary school students, and try and get them out and about. And so those are some of the things that I think will be advantageous, for for our community fan base, but also for our guys. I think you want to give back to a community that
Sure.
gives to you, and when they realize that, that's a good situation for
Well,
all.
let me just ask some generic questions for people that really don't know. How many players do the JUCO are we available to have? How many can we have?
Well, you actually could have up to 15 full scholarships, and we're close to that. Typically, it's certainly very hard to play 15 players and keep 15 players happy. So
yeah.
You're going to be somewhere between 12 and 14 players on most given years, and that allows you, in case there's an injury or in a situation, you've got enough depth to overcome any serious injuries. And there's been very few years that I went through a season that you didn't lose somebody along the way,
Yep.
unfortunately, with an
For
injury.
whatever reason, yeah.
Sure.
Well, name some of the players that are new that we don't know. If
Well,
you can, just a few. I don't want you to name them all.
Of course, we've only got 3 returning players. I guess I should start with them. So
why don't you just name the returning players today?
Junior Santil, of course, is kind of a premier player in this league. Last year as a freshman had some big nights, 6'7" wing. Ali Sanera, 6'9", young man, didn't play a lot last year, but I think he's going to give us some contributions this year. And Mehdi Nugama, who is from Paris, France, and had kind of an up and down year last year, but I think I've really liked how he's progressed through the spring and through the summer. And so, with just those 3 coming back, we've added several. Obviously, Antoine Johnson, a local flavor from Malone High School.
They love him.
Has won some state championships in his day, and anybody that knows him knows what a class act he is. Not only is he a great player,
good kid.
And I don't know if I've seen a young man at that age work as hard as he does on a regular basis, and it's certainly going to pay off, not only on the basketball floor, but in life.
Well, what was strange over there is they had the 2 Baker kids, like he was in the 9th grade, they were in the 10th and 11th, and as he came up through there, he had to work hard just to compete with those 2 guys, and as a team, when they had all 3, no wonder they wanted to stay.
Well, they've had some good players. They've had a great coach. Coach Welch has done a very good job over there, and it's obvious that they continue to have some success, and success breeds success. And but Antoine has a great work ethic, and that's contagious. And I think that's one of the other things. Some of the players that we brought in, not only young players, but we've got some Division I transfers that will be with us. We got a young man, Patrick Rooks, who was at Clemson.
Is he going to be a sophomore?
He'll be a sophomore. Eric Lockett will also be a sophomore, who was at George Mason. Maurice Rivers, who was at Rice University. So, they've had a taste and a flavor of what Division I basketball is all about. So they kind of bring that to the table also. And again, the work ethic is kind of contagious among the players. And I've been very pleased with how they've responded and how they go about their daily work.
Well, you've been a D1 coach too. How does that compare? And not technically, because they don't. You got to make them and break them in 1 year, and they're gone a lot of times. Where on the D1, they're staying with you 3 and 4 years, sometimes.
Sure.
So what about the talent? What difference have you seen so far? Pretty close, isn't it?
Talent-wise, there's not much difference at all. What you realize very quickly is these young men have a small window. Now we may have a player just for 1 year because he's a transfer. We may have them for 2 years. Again, we may have them for 1 year because they were a high school qualifier. So, they've got a small window, and they certainly want to get to another level, a Division I level if they can. And so it's interesting. I think that the carrot is out in front of them a little bit closer. In Division I, you could maybe wait a year or 2 as a freshman or sophomore before you develop and you're playing. Here, you've got to step into the fire right away, and you've got to be ready. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've noticed in such a short time, and my realization that, hey, you fellas. You got to make it happen pretty quick.
Now or never.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what about what you said, high school qualifier? Explain what that means.
Well, if, for example, Antoine Johnson and a young man, Carter Skaggs, who's a three-point specialist from Indiana, they were both qualified academically to go to a Division I school. So they had some offers in some situations, but it wasn't just quite the right fit in their thought process. So they can come here and play or go to any junior college and play for 1 year, do the academic work, and then they're allowed to leave and have 3 years to play Division I.
Wow.
So they're a little bit more attractive sometimes for a Division I program to get a junior college player that's played at this level in the Panhandle Conference and then they're a little bit more prepared to play at the Division I level for the next 3 years.
Well, I only got a couple more minutes, Coach, on this one. And let me ask you this. A kid comes in, he's averaging 24 points a game. The guy beside him averaged 21. Here's a guy, 27 points. How do you get those guys to want to score 12 or 14 and everybody score to win the ball game? How do you break them? Is that a good question?
You know, I'd like for them all to score 24 and average 160.
That's a good answer, Coach.
But no, I think in the development of a team, you got to do what's best for the team.
Yeah.
And you know, there'll be some nights where, you know, some guy might get 26 and another guy get 12. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win a championship. You're trying to build team chemistry and what's best for the team. And if you have selfish players on your team, you're going to have tough situations. So you try and develop that camaraderie and develop what it's all about to win a championship. And this is not tennis. This is not swimming. This is a team sport. So they figure that out pretty
Well, I
quickly.
remember this, being an old man and been around it a long time. Been around a lot of coaches, too, by the way. L.A., professional. What's his name?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Championship game. I don't know if it was the final. He's in the corner, open, or driving to the basket, and somebody is open. Rather than go into the basket and be the hero, he just throws it over there. They shoot it. I think it was Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Shoots it and makes it.
Yeah.
That was the turning point in probably his career. He said, wait a minute. I'm going to let everybody else get some of this glory and earn it, because he knew the guy could make it from there.
Sure.
And you know, I think that's hardest for kids to understand. It when you're on a team, you got to let everybody do their job.
Right. And we talk about making the extra pass, and when everybody's making the extra pass, that's going to give us an opportunity to shoot better shots
Extra
and not
pass.
force
Well, what
shots.
that, Coach? Got to explain that extra pass now. What does that mean?
You know, a lot of times you may feel like you have a good shot, and your teammate's got a better one, and of course you want the best shots you can get. So. You got a better chance of making those and scoring 160 like we're
Well, the
trying
gentleman
to
that's done the next show, he used to do radio and TV. Actually, was a newsman with Channel 4 in Dothan. But he's a writer. But he did radio for Malone,
Okay.
so he knows history of Malone.
Oh.
But we used to argue a little bit. But Malone, there in that small high school, they just take it seriously.
Well, I realized that very quickly. When I went over to recruit Antoine, I looked at their trophy case, and I saw the number of gold balls. So I knew very quickly they had a lot of championships. And what was also intriguing is Antoine, who we signed, his father was on a gold ball several years ago.
Yep.
So you have a father and son that both embraced a state championship. I've walked in a lot of high schools. I haven't seen that too many times in my life.
Right. Well, I went over there to shoot some video one time for something for the superintendent of schools, nothing to do with basketball, but I went down to see Coach Lassiter, who won about 3 championships himself. And I said, what are those X's on the floor with masking tape? He said, they must have been practicing for a pageant or something. So when he walked away, a kid said, those are assigned. That's mine right there. If I'm on that and I'm open, I may shoot. If I'm anywhere else on the court and I cannot shoot. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. He said he named me that one when I was in 6th grade.
How about that?
And he says, if you're open or that, you can shoot. But I guess whatever system you use, he was PE teacher too, so he looked at their feet and hands in the
Sure.
5th grade and says, you're going to play basketball for us. And then that's when he started teaching them. And I guess that's great in a school like Malone.
Well, I think that does help them, no question about it. When you have those kids and through that process, and they see it at a very young age, the success that Malone had, and they want to be a part of it. And you know, when we signed Antoine a few months ago, that gym was full, and you've got young kids that are, you know, 8, 9 years old that are sitting in there thinking, hey, this could be me one day. And you know, that gives you aspirations, and I think that certainly tradition builds.
Well, I'm glad you signed a 10-year contract with Chipola. Coach, I'm impressed with that.
Well, I hope they have me that long.
Yeah. Well, Coach, good luck, and we'll do another one next month. And by then, you'll probably be practicing with everybody then, I guess. Won't
I
you?
think we will. Thank you,
Coach.
Royce.
Good luck to
Appreciate
you.
it. Yes, sir.
Folks, you've seen it right here on Chipola College Television. Chipola does have a great athletic program, but all you coaches that are watching him talk today, trust me, it's going to be a great conference this year. We're looking forward to great competition. Coach Campbell, thank you, folks, for watching Chipola College Television.